What's up? What's up? Welcome. It is Saturday. We are July 25th. I'm Carmick Dez. And tonight we're going to be talking about to be or to do what thou wilt. So we're going to be comparing Shakespeare and Aleister Crowley. We're going to get to the opening credits here. We'll be right back in just a moment. We're going to get into the topic for tonight.
I wanna talk, is you keeping up? Lay it all out to see what's what. Really a topic that won't get discussed. Search for the truth before the truth finds us. They can argue about the surface, but if you're here, we talk deep with motivation and inspiration. You can hear my guest speak unchained and unfiltered, a slice of reality. You wanna talk? Well, it's my thing. Every Saturday night, let your consciousness stream. Wanna talk about it? We gon' talk. We gon' talk. Hey, we gon' talk. Wanna talk about it? Wanna talk about it?
I hope y'all like the new intro that I got cooked up over here. I'm just finishing up sharing the podcast. Let me make sure my audio is good on my end. I see that that's good. Looks like it's good to me. It sounds like it's good. Make sure my audio. I don't know what this light is. This light is doing over here. It's one of these lights. It's acting up. But yo yo yo. Again tonight, I wanted to get into a little bit of Shakespeare and a little bit of Aleister Crowley. But we are going to start out with the Shakespeare portion. So I asked myself, or Shakespeare asked, to be or not to be, right? So a little background on that question. A lot of people ask that question out of context or out of pop culture. Man, what's up, bro? Should I? Let me hold on. Let me hold on a second before I get too deep into the conversation here. I just got a text message. Man, how's the streaming going on your end over there with the Twitch? Yeah, I think tonight's gonna be a pretty. Well, I'm hoping tonight I got a pretty good show for y'all. I'm hoping I can keep all my train of thought together here, because we want to talk about it. We do go into the deeper portions of the conversation, and that's exactly what I plan to do tonight with these two concepts here. So we'll be talking about to be or not to be, and to do what thou wilt. Right? I mean, on the surface, they could seem like you know part and parcel of each other. But I think when we delve into the specifics of both of those ideologies, those sayings, then we'll be able to more clearly see the differences in between them. And I feel like the lighting is kind of off in here to me. I don't know about y'all. Let me make sure it's shit all the way up. I feel like it's off. I don't know. I don't know if it's the background or what. I'm looking on my screen here and I see there's a light. Which light is that? Uh, is this light right here? There we go. No, it's still. Might have to turn it off. No turn out tonight. Had to do something last minute. Hey, I understand how it goes. Yeah, got to keep the content up. That's one thing about this content creation stuff. You have to be consistent. Uh, yeah, it just feels like it's kind of dark to me. Oh yeah, peep the shirt. I don't know if y'all can you can peep the shirt, right? Getting the promo on. Hold on, getting the promo on. So is the reciprocity. This is actually the album cover for the single I put out. So y'all go out there, check out. I appreciate you, Hook. Yeah, check out Karmic Dez on all your streaming services. You'll be able to hear my music catalog as it continues to grow. Right now, Reciprocity, that's actually one of my favorite songs. These shirts as well, I'll be able to print them out and get them to you if you're interested. Uh, Appreciate you. Yeah, that's just me. People creeping up the block over here. But that's just me, being or choosing to be, right? And a little bit of doing what I wilt, right? So I mean, and like everything in life, it can be used for either good or bad. When did I press this? I pressed this afternoon. Maybe I finished it maybe 3 hours ago. I got this one. I got the "You So Nasty" album cover on a shirt. I got the Lawn Warrior avatar create character I created. That's on a shirt. I got I got the podcast promo on a shirt too. So yeah, these shirts I will be divvying. I will be getting these shirts out to y'all so we get this promo and marketing thing going. We got to get them retro gaming dojo shirts too. While you playing, y'all make sure y'all go check out Zevious Black, aka Black or Zevious Verse Black Man. My bad, aka Retro Gaming Dojo on Twitch and YouTube. He's got more subscribers than me, more videos than me. So yeah, definitely do that. Right now looks like me and you are the only ones in the chat. I can't see who's all watching. I don't know how to do that. Oh, I can add moderators from here. Sure can. What? I didn't know I could add moderators from here. Okay, that will be happening. Hold on, who just popped up in the chat? Yo, 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 yo. You were just at the beginning of the show, and we have not got into it yet. I was just explaining how I'm going to be talking, but going into tonight in depth about the phrases "to be" or "not to be," and "do what thou wilt." Right? And gonna kind of comparing and contrasting both of those. Yeah, diversified is in the building. We got diversified. We got damn retro gaming dojo. I appreciate y'all. This is the for y'all that are new here. These two guys, they are part of the content clique that we got going on here. We've been pushing each other to basically reach our dreams and our passions, and that's again part and parcel of what we do here. Teddy Graham's TV, what it do? That's part and parcel of what we do here. I want to talk about it, man. Like I said, we got Retro Gaming Dojo. My guy Hook, he's on Twitch right now. What game are you streaming on Twitch right now? You still doing the You still doing was it Pow World? And Mike, man, go ahead and let us go. Yes, sir. Oh, Mike, go ahead and let us know when go ahead and let us know when that damn album dropping. See, I just had an album drop 3 weeks ago, self-titled Karmic Dez. Y'all go check it out. A lot of good tracks from there. The biggest one, the one with the most traction right now is "Trip with Me." We also got I also got my next one coming out my birthday, October 16th. That one's gonna be called Motown Me. I'm gonna have all my Motown sounds on it. It's gonna be fire. He took a break from Power of the Nights, playing a little Vampire Survival. What that says? Vampire Survival? Vampire Survivor? There's a heart in the way. I can't see. Vampire Survivors. We got Diversified Multimedia and Teddy Grams TV. So they dropped a single today called Wealth Builders, streaming everywhere music is streamed. That's how we doing it, baby. We streaming music everywhere. He's got music streaming. I've got music streaming. He's on fire, and I'm heating up. The man dropped 6 albums in one day. I mean, how do you can't? I can't beat that. So yeah, welcome, 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 everybody. Let's see how far we at. We're 10 minutes in already. I guess we go ahead and start the crux of the show. Y'all got anything else y'all want to say out here? Anything y'all want to push or promote before we get into the crux of the show? But yeah, exactly. Every corner of the market. That's what we're gonna do, Mike. You see the shirt? You see the shirt, Mike? Oh, which way we? You see the shirt, Mike? We. Not the Drake drop. What? Hey, but apparently it works. Omnivale. I got an Omnivale shirt coming too. That's gonna be on one of these streams. Yeah, I did that, Mike. We got to get these characters on shirts, bro. Thank you, man. Thank you, thank you. Again, the single Reciprocity streaming everywhere. So let's go ahead and get into the crux of the show here. So let's start with Shakespeare. Y'all have heard the phrase "to be or not to be," right? Notifications coming through. Why is my? There we go. I see. I've heard the phrase "to be or not to be." Shakespeare wrote that as a part of a play. Hey, a shitload of shirts. Yeah, he wrote that as part of a play. I believe it was Othello, and that phrase came around to question. If I remember correctly, it was Othello questioning should he kill his father or not. So that question, in its original context, was a question about do I give in to those corrupt, um, degenerate ideas that are in me, or do I maintain my honor and integrity? So that's where the to be or not to be came from, is a question of do I give in to my darker urges or do I remain humane, I guess, and human in your integrity and your, all of that, right? Because it's like in Batman Begins, or with the Christian Bale series of Batman. The central question is, from Dark Knight, do you continue to be the hero long enough to see yourself to become a villain? So that's what Othello was dealing with when that question came into his mind: to be or not to be. That is the question, right? And you can spread that through all of life. Again, like we've been talking about through this series, this identity series is, or this nothingness series. You know, to be a rapper or not to be a rapper. That is a choice. To be a doctor or not to be a doctor. That is a choice. But even in those choices, there's another layer that comes up, right? And I think that's where the Aleister Crowley comes in. So Aleister Crowley's question was, or not question, it was a statement: "Do what thou wilt." Right? And that came from Aleister Crowley questioning the relativisticness of morality, right? Because if there is no objective morality or ethics that is to be followed, there's no higher morality or ethics to be followed, then whose ethics and morality are we following? Whose ethics and morality should we follow? Right? So stemming from that was the only ethics and morals that really should be followed and adhered to are the morals and ethics that I create for my own life, considering I have to live my life, right? Regardless of how others feel about it, because it's my life I have to live. And that's part and parcel of what we hear today when people say my truth, right? It's a it's a shedding of objectivity for almost extreme individuality. But the way it's enacted is through a form of what's the word I'm looking for? Oh man, starts with an A. When you're nice for just being for reasons just to be nice. I can't remember the name, the word, but they're spreading it through like in America right now. Some would say the Democratic Socialist Party, right? So we spread this extreme individuality through community, right? And an idea we indoctrinate people, right? So everything in life is kind of like an indoctrination or conditioning, right? And what we found is we can pretty much condition this way or that way depending on location, resources, and of course, connection over time, right? So we got those things going on all at the same time. Right now, what I see going on in America, we've got the idea of to be or not to be kind of clashing with do what thou wilt, right? So I'm going to go to an ad real quick. I'm going to let you guys process that, and we'll be right back after the ad.
Has wisdom forsaken us? Look where it's they woken, not waking up. Stuck in me, shaking up. Has wisdom forsaken us? Look where it's taking us. They woken, not waking up. Stuck in me, shaking up. Has wisdom forsaken us? Look where it's they woken, not waking up. Stuck in me, shaking up. Has wisdom forsaken us? Look where it's taking us. They woken, not waking up. Stuck in me, shaking up. Has wisdom forsaken us? Look where it's they woken, not waking up. Stuck in me, shaking up. Has wisdom forsaken us? Look where it's taking us. They woken, not waking up. Stuck in me, shaking up. Has wisdom forsaken us? Look where it's they woken.
That right there was from my guy Justin Deluce with Deluce Photos, and he's been kind of making promo vids for me, and I decided to go ahead and start to drop them into the show to kind of have like as commercial ad spots. Who is this? Because eventually I do want y'all to send y'all's commercials in, your ads, your promo in, and we'll get them running in slots just like I did here, right? So we were just talking about to be or not to be, being part and parcel of, or not being part and parcel, being run at the same time as do what thou wilt, right? So let's kind of look at the people behind these phrases. William Shakespeare, right? Billy Shakespeare. He was, I believe, was a 15th century poet. Wrote Romeo and Juliet, Othello. I believe those are the two most famous poems he's known for. I believe he even did some stuff with the Canterbury Tales, if I recall properly. Um, he was conscripted by the English royalty in order to write a lot of this, and he actually had a hand to play in writing the King James version of the Bible, which is why it sounds so poetic. Some say, anyway, in comparison to William Shakespeare's writings. And he had an illustrious career while he was alive, and well known, and still to this day, we use bits and pieces of his works, right? Now, on the other side, we've got Aleister Crowley, um, famous occultist. I believe he wrote the is it the Song of Solomon, the spells of not the Song of Solomon. It's the Book of Solomon, if I remember correctly. I have it in the house, and honestly, I'm kind of afraid to read it because it's supposed to. Solomon was the king of the Jews who actually had power over the demons and was able to have the demons work for him, right? So if you're not, familiar with that power, that ability, they kind of tell you to stay away from stuff like that, right? The occult. Also, one of the things that Aleister Crowley pushed again was, along with "Do What Thou Wilt," is Baphomet. And if you've ever seen Baphomet, the iconography of Baphomet is a goat with, I believe, it's a human body, and I can't remember the legs, right? So Baphomet, when you kind of trace the lineage of Baphomet, traces back to Baal, which is an Old Testament deity that was in opposition to God. Baal, if you trace Baal, Lord of the Flies, is also Lucifer, right? So we have this ideology stemming from Lucifer in Aleister Crowley, and we have an ideology stemming from human experience in William Shakespeare, right? Now, some cultures say that we are born with the innate ability to be evil or commit evil works, right? And all this lines up for me, when I read the Bible and compare all this iconography and symbology. So, do what thou wilt, right? In the Bible, I heard, I heard. So, in the Bible, the reason people were separated and given different languages and different culture or whatnot is because God saw that together we would be able to do anything we set our minds to, for one. For two, we would do anything that's on our heart, that our heart desires, right? So, in the case of Epstein in the island, a lot of those people, their hearts desired young children. Do what thou wilt, right? So I'm just connecting the dots from what I know, right? So part of the part of the practices of this movement of Baphomet, some would call it Antichrist, some would call it Satanism. Um, they are also progenitors of the transhuman movement, right? The transhuman ideology. Um, Now, I understand their the argument is that trans has been a idea pretty much all of history, and I would argue, yes, I agree. But the point that I made earlier is that you can't deny the fact that the trans ideology practiced in America is different from the trans ideology recognized and practiced around the rest of the world, right? And part of that, I believe, is because of the connection to Aleister Crowley. Do what thou wilt. Part of that is, if you don't think you're this, then you can become this. You are your own God, right? Birthdays are venerated under the ideology of Aleister Crowley. Why? Because the birthday, you celebrate yourself. Do what thou wilt. So those are the two ideologies that you can kind of use to develop your identity, right? And if you look at identity and how people are using it, especially here in America, I'm not sure about the rest of the world, but in America for sure, how people are playing with identity. There's another connection that I made with that, right? So I'm going to go to another ad here, and we're going to get to that other connection here in just a second. I said, quick ad. That was me, the lawn warrior, taking out those grass weeds for you in the Central Texas area. Text me. I am available. We have slots available. I've got a nice crew, good crew, and we're getting it knocked out here, right? So that connection I was talking about, right? Identity. So I also looked into exorcisms a little bit, possessions and oppressions, right? And one of the things that I noticed with this whole trans movement is that if you misidentifying is probably the gravest sin you could commit to some of these people. And you've seen the videos, you've seen the breakdowns, you've seen the blow ups. Does that seem normal to you? Right? I don't even think we, as you know, my people, go that extent with the N word. Yeah, we get rowdy, but I don't think I've seen the breakups and blow ups that I've seen when you misidentify somebody. And that caused me to ask or make the connection between the identification of these people and how demons respond when you try to identify them. The whole demons are very protective of their name because if you know their name, you're able to identify them, and if you're able to identify them, you're able to identify their power. So if you can't identify me, you can't identify my power, you can't identify my plan, you can't identify my play, you really can't identify anything about me beside beyond what I tell you. And if you get close to it and I, just entice people to um, see you as an enemy, uh, perceive what you're doing as aggressive in some way, shape, or form, then I've completed my job. I don't no longer have to defend myself and or even expose my identity. Why? Because now the masses are going to attack you for trying to figure out what my identity is. Therefore, I can move throughout the masses as I want to, taking on whichever identity that I'd like. He said that shit is stupid. They misidentify themselves. It is stupid to us sane people because we're dealing with logic on in the material world that we're used to living in. But I feel like we have to start taking those shades off that they've put on us over the decades. They've made us more materialistic for a purpose, for a reason. If you think about it, when you read those ancient texts, there's a reason those spiritual ideas and spiritual concepts are interweaved into the literature that they're writing and distributing throughout the world, and they've lasted. Think about it. The movie The Odyssey just dropped. The Odyssey is what, a 2,000 to 3,000 year old story, something like that? Just almost as old as the Bible, if not older. So how do these stories, these myths, continue to last and evolve? I mean, we still have we've got X-Men and Avengers and things now, right? And so they managed to bring, and even with that concept, right? So when you look at the comic books in the 70s and the early 80s, there were more mythical and more magical explanations for these abilities and powers these characters had. But now with the MCU, we were able to bring those things into the real world, and now even in MCU, we have real world explanations for everything that's going on. There's almost nothing that's like a mythical, magical, unexplainable circumstance, right? So they've done a very good job of disconnecting us from that spiritual world, which would also disconnect us from that spiritual sight. Once we start to connect back to that spiritual world, we gain that spiritual sight and we're able to see things for what they are. And me personally, I see oppressed people at the most, at the very least, influenced. Because like we talked about in the last series, we don't fight against flesh and blood. We fight against corrupt spirits in high places. And if we already are born with a spirit that can go either way, and we don't have the discernment anymore, then some of us may be more susceptible to that influence and even that oppression. And at the highest levels, possession. That's what those Those spells you was talking about, Mike. That's what all those spells are about: possessions and oppressions, and inviting spirits and energies into this realm and to interact with us in ways that we have not dealt with or even encountered in millennia. So I was going back and forth with a person in regards to the Odyssey movie, and she was like, "When's the last time you seen a Cyclops?" When I asked her, I'm not gonna go there with you, but I want to ask you, do you understand what allegory is? Symbology. Because you understand, people, this is the most free we've ever been able to speak in human history. So back then, people had to find ways to get ideas across and get information across, either through subterfuge or in a way that you're able to identify what I'm talking about. See, they knew a cyclops. They knew what a cyclops was back then. I didn't have to explain to you. I saw a cyclops, right? You kind of got the idea, or the idea of like a griffin, or the gods of Zeus, Athena, and whatnot. You kind of got the idea. If I said that, you didn't need a whole explanation. Now, I believe if you say anything like that today, you're gonna need an explanation. You can't say I went to the throne of Zeus and gave an offering. People are gonna kind of, oh, what'd you give them? Well, where was it thrown? That type of deal, as opposed to the big three: Islam, Christianity, or Buddhism right now, right? So, hey, Mike, you in the chat, man? You got any questions? You got any tidbits you want to throw in here? We've been going now for about 30 minutes. Yeah. But those are the connections that I'm making right now. Is, like I said in the last series, we're not dealing with physical flesh and blood per se. We're dealing with them by way of them being influenced by these corrupt spirits, particularly the corrupt spirits in high places, right? So, like one of the people asked me or told me the other day is we can't persecute trans people because they're trans. And I was like, I agree, we can't persecute them. We shouldn't persecute them. We shouldn't hate them. But we should also identify that God has recognized that way of life as an abomination. And I also explained to him that if that ideology wasn't as powerful as we make it to be, then how were they able to get across so many policies and laws in such a short amount of time with such a small amount of the population? You got Mike saying magic is more real than people realize, especially black magic. And see, and magic, when you ask some people, when you ask the scientists, they'll tell you magic, for the most part, is just science we don't understand. I mean, look how much of the light spectrum we can't see. We can't see infrared, we can't see ultraviolet, we can't see gamma rays, we can't see, what was it, micro red, I believe it is. We can't see, there's like 4 or 5 bands of light we cannot see out of all the bands of light. And the total bands of light, let me see if I can pull that up real quick. So for the people out there, this is my truth, this is my reality, you can't even see all of light. How can you say this is your truth and you can't even see all of the truth? Let's see, how many bands of light are there? There are 7 major regions of visible, no, that's the colors. 7 main colors. If you look at the entire electromagnetic spectrum, we have radio, microwave, infrared, visible, ultraviolet, X-ray, gamma ray. So we can see visible light. That's pretty much about it. We can't see radio waves, we can't see microwaves, we can't see infrared, we can't see ultraviolet, we can't see X-rays, nor can we see gamma rays. So how much truth are you telling me when you tell me you're living your truth? Just say it. Said, believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. And then what freedoms are trans not getting that we have? What exactly are they fighting for? Dominance. in a lot of cases. Um, I can deal with those who realize that they are the minority in lifestyle and population and just want to be able to live a regular life, right? They're not making it about what they do in the bedroom. I appreciate people like that, whether they're heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, pansexual, whatever, right? It's not for me. It's not about what you do in the bedroom because I'm not doing it with you. Uh, to that point, I will say that there are a few cultures that recognize that sexual immorality is a gateway to that spiritual corruption that we've talked about before. So I got to also, like even myself, I've got to keep that in mind with how I operate. Not to say I do any of those other alternative things, but there are ways that you can move that aren't noble, even amongst heterosexuals, right? We have perspective versus reality, definitely. What light are ghosts or spirits in? Me, honestly, I would say they're not in any light that we can perceive, even with these seven major regions of light. I believe they're a completely different vibration of reality. If you ascribe to the Bible, they are shadows or even demons that assume the identities of people that we've encountered because they can read our minds. So if you ask them about a memory that you have of somebody and they repeat that memory back to you, it's probably because they read your mind in that moment in that memory. So if you being having your memory, it's kind of hard to ask them a question that's outside of memory because how would you verify it? So that's the game demons play. We think the spirits are smart, right? But that's a good question though because they have they have the machines out there, the spectrum that kind of pick up the the ghosts as they move because they don't interact with the light spectrums. Because ghost spirits haven't been scientifically proven to it. Let me read it properly. It says ghosts or spirits haven't been scientifically proven to exist in any measurable light spectrum. Just like I said, you're not going to be able to pick them up with any of those seven major regions of light, right? People sometimes claim they appear in infrared or ultraviolet, right? And I believe that may be possible again from a dimensional perspective, right? As in, like, say if you let's take the bed for example. Right? So me being on the outside of the sheets would be in this dimension, but anything moving on the underside of that sheet would leave an impression, but I would just never be able to see it or interact with it in that way, right? That's what I mean by in a different dimension, right? Right here it says, but most orbs and shadows caught on camera are usually dust, moisture, reflections, or lens flare. Spiritually, light is usually symbolic, not a literal wavelength. And I completely agree with that. Um, one of the epiphanies I had in my meditations is that the light we experience every day, I call it dirty light. Because there's this pure, just bright light that you can stare into without any pain, and it's just light. Like sunlight seems heavy in comparison, right? And even on another level, that we are all light. Like there's no such thing as solid matter, right? And we've talked about that. I believe episode one of this series here about nothing. There is nothing that is like you can actually physically. There's nothing to touch. Like literally nothing to touch. Science has proved there's nothing out there to touch. Everything out there is either condensed light or uh, dispersed light. So one of the analogies I used to explain to my friends, my brother and them, uh, to what I think the universe is, ultimately, it's kind of like imagine having a prism and shining a light through it, right? So I think that's kind of like almost analogous to what's going on. It's kind of like a rough visual of what I think is going on, but I think Like the concept is there for me, right? What about y'all? What concept? What do y'all think is going on in this with this whole to be or not to be, do what thou wilt thing, right? Now, to that point, do what thou wilt. I will say that ideology can be good. Again, there's good and bad in everything, because again, if you're trying to be a doctor, you want to be you kind of want to do what you will to be a doctor, right? But you've got to also balance that with how you're supposed to move in the world, your integrity, your honor, your grace, your morals, your ethics, right? Because once you cross those, I mean, what are you standing on? What barrier won't you cross? The sexual morality. So if you have no barriers, why not? What makes you what you are? What gives you form if you don't have borders? Y'all like that one? You like how I snuck that one in there? Let me say it again. What gives you form if you don't have borders? Therefore, if you don't have borders, you have no form. Some people think they don't know what's going on. I believe they know exactly what's going on. Because again, if you can't identify my form, you can't identify me. If you can't identify me, you can't identify any strategy to go up against me, to counteract me, to contain me. Sounds very demonic to me. Just saying, based off of the characteristics, not calling anyone a demon. Again, it's not about flesh or blood, it's about spirit and corrupt spirits in high places, particularly. Right? Now, even with that, the to be or not to be can be used against you or be used in a nefarious way as well. I mean, what if I want to be a mad scientist who wants to take over the world? And then I do what I will. And they say some people right now are moving that way in the Middle East. Not gonna name any names. Not gonna name any places. And I'm pretty sure I'd get in trouble if I named this name and this place. But that's where I'm at with identity, nothingness, and what's going on in the world today. And yeah, I wanted to kind of touch on that because it kind of was going back and forth with my guy Smokey on Facebook, and that hit me. All those ideas in regards to Aleister Crowley hit me at once, and it's like it's kind of hard to not express that when you've been holding that in for so long, right? And then with these series, I'm taking it bit by bit so we can kind of digest this, and you can always go back and kind of ask your question. Ask yourself this question. What was he talking about? The spirits in high places, right? What was he talking about? There's like no matter, right? And this is all backed up. Everything I'm saying, you can go look into it yourself, and it's all backed up. I have all the resources available at my fingertip, but in what I do and how I operate, I kind of synthesize information and make connections across different disciplines. So the ideas a lot of times I espouse, you're not going to find in a book. You're not going to find in a magazine or on an online article, right? Because I may have synthesized two ideas that I've seen in a book or an online article or whatnot. Now you may have to listen to somebody speak in person to even hear the ideas as I'm saying or as I deliver them, right? Because again, you're not going to find this in a book. Most people stick to one discipline. If they do psychology, they write books from a psychological perspective. If they do religion, they write books from a religious perspective. I'm giving you both of those perspectives at once, and then I'm combining them, and then I'm asking you what you think about it. Bill Gates, precarious. I haven't kind of figured the guy out yet. Because he does make a lot of moves that are good for society as a whole. He doesn't seem too money hungry, but then he does other things on the side that are like, yeah, you are kind of a, and I want to use this word like elitist thought, right? I don't. Was you taking a sip? Where is Valentine? Valentine would definitely say it. Oh yeah, the music industry is definitely full of Crowley symbols, man. Like one of the phrases they're saying as a Crowley symbol today is the whole goat phrase. You're the goat. You're the goat. You're the goat. And if you look at the iconography of Baphomet, Baphomet is the goat. I don't think that's coincidence, man. The co-opting of the rainbow. They're like, no, we didn't know. We didn't co-opt it because God used it. That's no. We use it because the rainbow has all these different colors. Nah, I feel like you co-opted it because it was what God said He was going to use. And the thing about that is Lucifer. Lucifer wanted to have every position that God had, and his whole thing they say is to corrupt what God created. So God's greatest creation was man. Lucifer's greatest move would be to corrupt man. If God made a covenant through a rainbow, Lucifer's deal would probably be to undo that covenant, probably with the rainbow. And the funny thing about the rainbow, how many colors are in a rainbow? Look, Mike, listen to me. How many colors are in a rainbow? Seven colors in a rainbow. Seven bands of visible light. Seven, seven. Seven is a holy number. Coincidence? I think not. So these invisible creatures that you can't see in any of these seven bands of light co-opted the seven colors of the rainbow as the LGBTQ, which is a bunch of identities, but you can't misidentify. You can't identify any of them because you'll be misidentifying them. Goats do get sacrificed. And I'm right now. I'm kind of stunned at what I'm just stumbled on here. I'm kind of that again. When I make you're not going to find this in a book, people. Nobody's talking about seven main colors of the rainbow lining up with the seven spectrum of light in which a demon would not be visible in. But yet they use the seven colors of light that are visible to represent the LGB, to represent the identity movement. Fucking crazy. Seven is one of my favorite songs by Prince. And what does he talk about? These invisible people that are making moves in the world that you can't see. The seven. Mm-mm-mm. I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm fucking myself up right now. Wow. I'm gonna have to do some more digging. I'm gonna have to do some more digging. I gotta have another episode for y'all next week. We gotta continue this one. That is crazy. Mm-mm-mm. What y'all thinking right now? Where y'all at with this? And look, if y'all don't believe me, I'm gonna pull it up on the screen right here. Y'all gonna lose me for a second. I'm gonna just point it out to you. There's no way this is coincidence. I did not realize my camera was frozen at an angle, so I was pointing. I was pointing to the definitions or the seven bands there in the light and the seven colors of the rainbow, right? Let's see here. Let me see what this message say. It says Mike says all 7 men will watch them fall. That was Prince lyric. That was like 1985, right? Then he says they stand in the way in love and we'll watch them fall. Yep. And what are they using against us? Love in the form of if you don't rock with me, you got to be gone, right? And that's in retaliation to the other side. I get that there's extremes on both sides. We shouldn't be too extreme either way. So, man, I've got to digest this. I really do, y'all. I do want to thank y'all for joining tonight. Mike, appreciate you. Marcus, Hook, everybody in the chat. Y'all made this a great show tonight. Appreciate y'all. What we got? What? He said we'll smoke them all. We will smoke them all. Thank you, Prince. You told us a long time ago, and look what we got here. We have the incarnation of it, the fruition. Mm-mm. So either you got two choices: to be or not to be, or to do what thou wilt, or you can use them both. But hopefully, you keep your integrity, your honor, your morals, and your ethics. I'm Karmic Dez. Just want to talk about it. Dominate your day. And remember, people are just people.